Welcome to the Lovecars on the Grid podcast, your global motorsport roundup with me, Tiff Needell, and Paul Woodman.
Welcome to Lovecars on the Grid, your global motorsport podcast roundup, where we look back on a fascinating weekend of motorsport. But it wasn't much. But we have got lots to talk about. There's loads going on, and to be honest with you, I know I can be a bit grumpy sometimes, as can you, but I am super excited for the start of the Formula One season. It's only 4 weeks away, and it's a long season. I'm really excited that it's just around the corner.
I usually hate all the hype, but I'm not that bothered about the colour scheme reveals in a week's time. But I can't wait for the season to start because I think it's going to be one of the best forever. No, last week there was only a bit of motorsport. We're talking about the little singles. It was all about Eagles. Let's face it. I mean, not Dan Gurney's Formula One Eagles.
Super Bowl.
About the Super Bowl. And boy, I think about 95% of the population was so glad to see the end of the Mahomes, Kelsey, Swifty triangle of love and joy and winning everything. So
to me, the Americans, I love the Americans, and they're very lovely, passionate bunch of people. But it's so funny because they think the Super Bowl is, because it's so big. Super Bowl Sunday is huge in America, and they think it's like this huge. But I think it's like the 7th or 8th most watched program on sporting event in the world. So it's tiny in comparison to the likes of football, soccer, and so on and so forth. Cricket, of course, is huge, but they're quite oblivious to that.
Tickets are almost as much as Paddock Club, almost.
Yeah, not that much.
Yeah, the Eagles flattened, they ruined the joys. They cheered Trump. Trump was there. They cheered Trump, and then they booed Swift. Taylor Swift got booed. They're a funny lot over there. But of course,
welcome to our American friends. Those who are listening, we love you dearly. And we want to spend more time there. I'd love to go IndyCar or NASCAR or something this year, hopefully.
Yeah. Only big news is that after our podcast last week, there was so much going on with regulations and stewards that I still haven't been invited for the job of a Formula One steward. I mean, what is going on?
Well, they're saying now you would be a good steward because you're very analytical, and you know your stuff as well. But they're saying now they might ban team radio completely to the public, which it's gone silly. It's silly. You can't dictate like that. We want to see it. That's entertainment. We like hearing the radios.
The football, the end of the brilliant win for
Plymouth
down the road, Plymouth against Liverpool. They're interviewing the bloke. I think he was Swedish or European, so English wasn't his first language. But his first, how are you? He's effing brilliant. It's just a full. And they went back to the studio. They said, "I apologise for the industrial language." And what are you going to do? Ban him from football for the next 2 weeks? I mean, it just happens, and I think it's because it's an emotive thing. You swear when you don't really know you're swearing, like when you're on board radios and switch on the button because someone's just chopped you up. It's going to be the effing blow. They've dug such a big hole there by following Bin Suleiman's and digging the rule even deeper and talking about huge fines. But actually, the other thing in the news, of course, have you seen the F1 movie trailer yet? Oh.
Yes, I have. It's going to be one of those ones that you say, how many times can you watch that? How many times can you not say during that film, that wouldn't happen? That wouldn't happen. He's on full lock. He's on full, like his hands are like that.
Of course.
Go off the start line. No.
He's weaving through the back of the pack. I tell you what, the onboards were amazing of the driver's head.
The footage is going to be amazing.
I mean, absolutely. How they blended that in with real racing. But
do you know what they did there? I saw quite a lot of behind the scenes there. So it's green screen. I think they even use blue screen now as the latest thing, later than green. And they've got the driver's helmet and they're shaking their helmet and they're spraying a bit of mist if it's raining. And there's like 70 people there filming this had 3 seconds.
Got
it's
everything.
Just nuts.
The old white man has got the young black kid. He's got that sorted out. They've got team fights fighting in the pit between the team. We had the fire coming, the crash. And of course, we had the quick shag up against the wall, which happened. So it's amazing. Modern filming, I don't know what I've missed out in my entire life, but it seems to me that you have sex about 3 seconds after getting in the door, you slam your partner up against the wall and somehow manage to get the thing all working in 3 seconds. See, it's got I can't remember ever going into a room having a woman slam me up against the wall, but it's all there. F1. When's it coming out? June, July? I don't know. When's it coming out?
A bit sooner than that. I think May. If it is, it's going to be cringe. It's going to be. I think it's going to be good. I like Brad Pitt, and I think it's going to be good. But it's going to be a bit cringe. It's going to be stereotypical.
I won't rush to watch.
You know, in these Le Mans movies where they're going down the Mulsanne Straight doing 200 miles an hour and they downshift, to overtake.
Well, look, first you look at the driver alongside you, then you downshift. Anyway, actual racing last weekend, all there was of international thing was the continuation of the single-seater boys. Well, the grown-ups were down in New Zealand finishing off the Formula Regional Oceanic, where Arvid Lindblad concluded the season with a championship win, which gives him super license points. It was probably the only reason he was down there, was to get these flipping super license points. And of course, he's the name now, which we've got to remember at this moment. He is the number one Red Bull boy. So he's British license holder. He's born in Surrey, Virginia Water in Surrey, but he's got a Swedish dad and an Indian mother. So he's very mixed race, but he's totally English himself. And he's doing Formula 2. He's the Red Bull boy next year in Formula 2. And probably a top 3 in Formula 2 will give him enough super license points. So he could be, if any of the boys in Red Bull colours of the 4 of them go wrong next year, he could be the next Red Bull man. So keep an eye on.
He's a real sensation, Autosport nominee, Final 4. Yeah, real sensation.
Well, he won 6 of the 15 races. Obviously, half of them, a third of them are reverse grid things. Actually, quite interesting. He didn't win the last round. The last round was won by the Aussie supercar champion. So he came out of his big touring car. And he's been doing most of the race. He didn't do all of the race. I think he maybe was racing Bathurst, but that was Will Brown actually won the last race, which is the official New Zealand Grand Prix. That's the end of that series. That series is over now. The Middle East boys are still going, and our boy Freddie. You know, we pumped Freddie up, but he's falling. He hasn't won for the last 6 races.
Yeah, but he got P2, he got P2, he got P6. It's tough over there.
He's been blown away by Evian Guilter, French boy. So it's got to watch it. It was Guilter. They were competing together in the European Championship. Guilter, the one is, what team you're in. He was rubbish last year, but he's changed team, and boom, he's up there winning. The same story in Formula 4. The Italian there, Emanuele something.
Welly, give him some welly. Give it some welly.
So, but they've still got 2 more weekends, 6 more races in the Middle East series. So still racing going on somewhere in the world.
I tell you, in talking of single seaters, it seems that every week we say there's a new young driver going into GB3. It was Bianca Bustamante. Is that how you pronounce her last name?
McLaren lady. Yeah.
She's going into Formula 3 now. She's no longer part of the McLaren development team.
She's been dropped.
Well, drop's a harsh word, Tiff, but yeah, she's been dropped. So she's in GB3 as well. So she'll be joining the likes of Adam Pudding.
And all sorts of young lads. So it's going to be fascinating. I've also GB3 looking forward to that.
7th in the F1 Academy, so didn't really set it on fire. Not really, with the greatest respect, McLaren, they want the world's top drivers, and if you finish 7th
who's replacing it then?
No, not that I know of. No.
So that's all the racing. But this Formula One's building up so much. I think we've got to start getting. I don't like hype too soon, But I think we should have a competition now, you and me, right? And we're going to predict the first 4 races. And for any testing, nothing. You're going to have no clues as to what's got the best car. So we're going to go through all 10 teams, right? And we have to do the qualifying score first between the 2 drivers, right?
People are going to be so bored of listening to this. You love analytics and you love going into deep dive. Let's just have a chat. Let's have a chat, son.
It's going to be a chat. Okay, I've got the pen ready for the chat, and I'll be putting your answers on my clipboard, which I have here. And after the first 4 races, we'll see who is the best predictor. See? So we go to McLaren first, right? So you have to tell me out of the 4 races, who's going to qualify ahead out of Lando and Oscar?
Lando.
But how many? All four?
3-1.
3-1. 3-1.
And you?
Yeah, I've already got 3-1. You've equalled my prediction. The Ferrari, interesting. Lewis
2-2.
Arrives.
I actually think it'd be probably 3-1 to Charles, but I'm going to edge on 2-2.
Too late. I've got 3-1. You've got 2-2.
You got 3-1 to Charles.
3-1 to Charles for qualifying. Yeah. Sorry, Lewis fans.
It could even be 4-0 to
Charles. I agree. Yeah, Red Bull, pretty obvious. Yeah,
4 zippity-doo.
4 zippity-doo. That's the interesting one. Lawson's the first interesting thing of the year, and how he fares against Max. One of the big stories of next year.
I fear for Liam Lawson, and I see him. Well, I mean, it's so difficult. I've said this a million times. Being that young, thrust into the media spotlight, but I fear for his PR team because he's not endearing himself. I see more and more podcasts coming up, and he's very sure of himself.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm going to say. He's not endearing himself because he's this cocky, sort of self-assured Aussie. But maybe Kiwi. Maybe that's what's needed against Max. Yeah. Maybe that attitude will help him survive. George, Mercedes versus. Now, do we have to keep on saying Andrea Kimi, or can we just call him Kimi?
Kimi.
Are you sure?
Kimi.
I can drop the
Positive.
Andrea. All right, okay.
Positive, and it's 4-0 George. Sorry, Kimi.
Yeah, I agree. 4-0 George. Even though he was quick for half a lap in Monza before he put it in the barrier, wasn't he? It's FP1.
He's got a lot of learning to do. Aston
Martin, that's fairly obvious.
4-0.
I don't know where they'll qualify. How well
to Lance. He was off in Portugal this weekend doing some WR2, which is really cool. I love the fact that the Formula One boys like to do some rallying as well.
So rallying?
Yeah, it wasn't world rallying. It was the equivalent to Portuguese or something. So I like really, I like that. Yeah,
Alpine.
Who we got?
Pierre and Jack. So it's Pierre versus Jack Doohan.
I see that 4-0 to Pierre.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're not enough to debate or have an argument, really. If Jack's still there, of course, Jack's got the pressure of having Colapinto looking over his shoulder in the garage. Haas, here's a good one. Haas, Esteban thing against Ollie.
I got to say, I'm a big Ollie Bevan fan, but I got to say it's 4-0 Esteban. 4-0.
Really? Whoa. Yeah. I've gone 1-3. I'm backing Ollie. I've gone 1-3 to Ollie.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right, and I hope I'm wrong.
Then the Red Bull. What are they called now? They're not called Red Bulls or Bullies now. They're Red Bullies. They've got a new name.
Yeah. What are they called?
What are they called?
Not Toro Rosso. What are they called?
Riding Bulls. Racing Bulls.
Racing Bulls. Thank you.
Yuki against Isaac Hadjar.
It's got to be Yuki. It's got to be. Yeah. I think these young new lads are going to be finding their feet a little bit.
And Isaac will probably be the first to get banned for swearing because he's really loud on the radio.
I've mentioned him before. He's a bit fiery on the radio, especially the new circuits like Australia, for example. They're Melbourne. They're going to struggle. Albert Park.
Williams, that's a fascinating one. Now, Alex has never really had a known star up against him, apart from when he was a Red Bull, obviously against Max for those few Grand Prix. So against Carlos,
I think it's going to be 2-2 there. I got to sit on the fence.
I've done the same. I don't know. This competition is going to be very boring once it's boring already. But
already we got Ferrari, and everyone's shouting, hopefully, and saying they disagree with us, or maybe they're agreeing with us. But Ferrari, that's a discrepancy between us, and also Haas as well.
Haas, Sauber.
Who we got?
Well, Nico. Hulkenberg against Gabriel Bortoleto, the new Argentinian, the new Brazilian superstar.
Hulkenberg 4-0.
Yeah. So now at the end of my competition, now you just have to predict the winner of those 4 races. No ifs, buts. The winner of Australia is going to be
Max.
China.
Lando.
Japan.
Max.
Bahrain.
Lando.
Well, we disagree on. We agree on that last one. I reckon Lando's going to Australia. I think Leclerc's going to win in China. I think that's a good Ferrari track. I think Max will win in Japan. Suzuka is so good around Suzuka. And I put Lando as well to have a second win of the year, to go to the lead of the championship by the time we discuss this brilliant competition next time.
See, this is what I love about you. You have days of thinking about this and planning and preparing, and then you just come on this podcast and say, okay, who's going to win? So you've thought about who drives well and look at all the years of history of driving around these certain circuits, and you just ask me.
If you're not happy with the adjudicator,
who's going to win?
I wrote this very quickly last night.
I still fancy my chances over you. What do you know about racing anyway?
The competition is now over. Well, I just wonder who's going to come forward from the bottom 5 teams, do you think? I don't know who's going to make who's going to sort of get better.
Well, Williams are getting better. Williams are definitely the one to watch, I think. But then you say that, but
last year they were ninth in the constructors.
But then look at Haas. Haas ended up with a really fast car last year.
Alpine at the end of the year. Gasly was on top 3 in the grid, wasn't he, in one of the last Grand Prix? So Alpine were looking better.
So going back to that film Apex, or whatever it's called, the Formula One film.
It's called Formula One.
It is called Formula One. So the trailer was, I thought it was off the start where he was going like that, but it's actually after the first lap, he's going around the first corner like that, last corner onto the home straight like that. And then he's got all the cars in front of him. But
I thought it was off the start.
Well, how can it be? Because he's gone around a corner like that. He's gone around a corner and his steering lock.
Well, he's come from one side of the grid to the other.
Your steering lock
wouldn't be like that. I'll look at it again now.
So I don't even know what my point is here, but you throw me off track. But it's a bit all over the place, really. So what were we talking about before that?
Which team is improving, do you think, from last year? We talked about when Haas were up there.
Why did I start going off on a tangent about that? There was a reason behind it.
Sauber is still rubbish. That was actually Sauber's story, because they're going to finally get a base in Britain. They've decided they've got to come to Formula One World, because they've always been in Switzerland.
Why do they all come out operate out of the UK?
Well, all the people, all the brains, George, that come from all over the world, they're not all British, have come to Oxfordshire, Bicester, that area, Woking and stuff, because that's where most of the Formula One jobs are. So we managed to gather all the Formula One best talents. And so Switzerland have tried, but who wants to go to Switzerland to be a Formula One engineer when,
you could go to Milton Keynes.
Oh,
I mean, what's Switzerland got over Milton Keynes? Nothing.
Yeah, why don't more people go to Switzerland? Where's that tweet? You can never find tweets when you want them. I'm trying to look at this thing.
Go on the Lovecars tweet, because it's on there.
Well, I've just seen it. Well, it's right at the beginning.
I thought it was going to be called Apex.
No, I'm sure that's off the grid. He turns left and then right. Yeah,
but look at the lock he's got on his. So if you haven't seen it, have a look at it. Go on the Lovecars. We retweeted it this morning.
He's done a one. He's done a left.
Exactly. When have you ever seen a Formula One car do that off the start? Ever in the history of Formula One? Maybe in the rain in the 1970s or something.
It's Brad Pitt, all right. It's Brad Pitt, the experienced driver.
Yeah. Sonny, what's his last name? Sonny?
I can't wait. Sauber. Poor old Sauber. I think they're going to be at the back.
Who's going to win the Constructors' Championship?
I'm not doing end of season stuff. I'm just going through the first 4 races.
Let me just.
About news. What are all these cards behind your head? Is your son had a birthday or something?
Oh, it was mine.
You haven't got that many friends, have you? How come you've got so many cards?
I haven't got so many friends. You're right.
Have you sent yourself a card over to it?
The last 6 years of cards are behind me there. No, I've got a big family, so that's the only reason I get a few cards every year.
So what's coming up? So although it was no race this weekend, there's lots of races to talk about.
Formula E, Jeddah.
Yeah, well, we've got Jeddah. They call it Diriyah on one page, I found, but of course it's not Diriyah anymore. And I think most of the teams have been upset, being the drivers, because they're now going to Saudi, to the Jeddah track. They're doing half the famous Formula One track between the walls. And not only doing half of it, they're putting one chicane in the middle of the back straight and 2 chicanes coming down to the start-finish line across the pits. They've added so many chicanes. I don't know why, for fuel consumption or whatever. But most of the drivers would wish they were still in Diriyah, because they like Diriyah, but it was quite a nice track. But that's about 300, 400 miles away. right on the other side of Saudi. So yes, you've got. There's 2 races. So it's worth watching. Maybe not the Saturday, but the Sunday, because on Sunday, race 2 is the first ever refueling pit stops for Formula E, which is going to really make
It's
it
not
more
refueling,
exciting.
is it, you dork? It's recharging.
Well, it's fuel, isn't it? Isn't it? Can you call it fuel? No, maybe not.
No. So
Well-
I've got some Formula E gossip. You tell me about that first, and I'll tell you about my Formula E gossip.
So yeah, so now halfway through the race, and you can only have one recharging plug for each pair of drivers. So you're having a great battle for the lead. You can't come in together. You've got to come in separately.
Which is ridiculous.
And if a pace car happens while someone's refueling or hasn't refueled, that will cause it's
going to be carnage, because you're not allowed to queue up. You're not allowed to double stack. Is your point? Why I said it's ridiculous.
So you won't know. By the time they all come out, they'll all be so spread out. So it just goes down to more and more of a lottery. We already had with this new time attack mode. It's so powerful. But again, if you press to use it for 4 minutes, you want to overtake 3 cars, because that's what everyone else does, and you get a pace car, you're stuck behind a safety car.
That's the only thing I don't like about it. I don't like the noise, actually. I like the concept. I like what they're doing, and I like the whole sustainability behind it. But that it's too much for a lottery.
Yeah.
For me. So we
2
interviewed
races.
in Mexico. We interviewed Scott Elkins, who was the race director for Formula E.
He's just left, hasn't he?
He's just left. I got to say, I've only heard and read good things about him, but he was bit grumpy with us. I don't know. Yeah, and it wasn't our request. It was
you in particular, or your team. But what do you mean?
The team. Yeah, it was. I don't know. Maybe he had an off day. Maybe he was stressed. It was on a practice day, and it was their request, not ours. We didn't say, "Oh, we want to get some time with Scott."
Which team were you with? Then you were Jaguar.
No. This was Formula E overall that said, "Could you please interview Scott?" So yeah, absolutely, of course. But
what did you ask a nasty question? Did you say,
No, not at all. No, couldn't. So in fact, his demeanor was so bad. I said a couple of times, "Oh, Scott, maybe just to repeat that question or something." And his demeanor was so bad, I don't even know whether we can use it. And now maybe we cut it completely. But
so obviously he was having a bad. Well, that's why then the beginning of the end of his career. It was obviously a bad weekend, and he's fed up with it. Whatever, something pissed him off.
But good luck to him. Whatever he does, he's an American guy. I think he's from Houston or California. I can't remember. I'm sorry, Scott, but didn't leave the best impression. I'll be honest with you. But
Swedish rally this weekend. Look forward to from Thursday night. There's a special stage, but from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, World Rally cars bouncing off the snowbanks. Incredible. But it just seems to the luck of the draw when you hit a soft one or a hard one. If you hit the wrong one, it just sucks you in, and then you're all frustration stuck in the sand. It's always spectacular. But of course, they've got big studs on. They're allowed those for the snow. So, in fact, apparently it's almost more grip than gravel. So the gravel rally is where you're not allowed any studs. You're just on the gravel tyres. So although you're thinking snow and ice, how do they go so fast? They've actually got more grip than when you're on gravel. But it was spectacular pictures, of course.
I've got to say, I am shocked at how little grip you get on gravel. I was genuinely shocked when I went for the first time and on proper, on gravel, but pushing hard. There's nothing, is there? It's really, and if ever there was a slow in, fast out, that's what you do with gravel.
But of course, the big event of the weekend is the Daytona 500, baby.
Oh yeah, of course it is.
Sunday night. But I've got a bit of a gripe here because Premier Sports, which we're waiting to see if they're going to cover it, finally tweeted last week they're covering it. So I retweeted. We've all been waiting for this. They're covering it. So I go on the scheduling. I hadn't seen it on the scheduling. So I had to go on the Premier Sports website, and it said streaming only. Well, how do I find that? Is that only on my computer then?
No, you should be able to stream. You got a very snazzy, big, fancy TV, so you should be able to stream on your TV. Get Harry on it. Harry Needell.
But you'll have to connect a computer or a laptop to do that.
But you will be connected to the internet on your on your TV, so you can just do it on one of the apps on your TV, most likely.
Because what I'm worried about is because I know I put this, saying someone said, "Why I don't want to do that? I watch it for free." So obviously a tweet who said that is watching it by illegally streaming somewhere, I presume. You can't watch it for free unless you're on an illegal something, right?
I don't know.
So I just sort of tweeted back to him saying, but you can't replay it, can you? and he just answered he didn't care. Because that is the problem with streaming. Because the thing about NASCAR, £3 a race it'll cost you to go Premiere. £3 a race. You can still watch other things on Premiere TV.
So for those of you that aren't very good at maths, that's about £44,000 because there's a race every 2 minutes with NASCAR. It's ridiculous.
15 quid a month. 15 quid a month for Premier Sports. And I just think that £3 a race, NASCAR's worth it. But some NASCAR races are very long and boring. On the Daytona 500, you can sometimes have a 20-minute red flag, or you can have long periods of yellow flags. You can have slightly boring periods where they're all sitting single line. So all NASCAR, in fact, Formula One's the same for me. It's also a question of waiting until about a couple of hours after it started, then sit down and watch it times 30, times 15, watch it live a bit. And so you don't have to, sit watching a blank screen for half an hour. But you can't do that if it's streaming. This is my worry. Will I not have to watch it live? You can't record it.
No, with streaming, you can pause and fast forward.
Yeah,
just like watching a YouTube video.
Yeah.
So whilst we give Tiff I'll stay online and give you a bit of a tech lesson after. But
so
for our
make
viewers
sure you
and
watch
listeners,
Daytona, and if it's your first time to NASCAR, get in there, watch it £3, and get hold of, follow a team, follow a drive, look at the profile.
It's typical American TV. Sports, takes so long. It takes so long.
Exciting part of Shane Van Gisbergen is doing a full season of the Kiwi, the brilliant Kiwi, doing a full season of NASCAR. So here's someone to follow. It's my first tip for you to follow. If, of course, you don't already follow the number 5. Number 5.
IndyCar, Formula One, BTCC, F2, all these sort of Formula E, they're short, sharp, 2 hours maximum. But NASCAR goes on, and like that Super Bowl, like American football, it goes on and on and on. Oh, let's have 20 minutes of action and just have loads and loads of commercials, loads of chat, loads of analysis.
You won't listen to me, will you? Like the Super Bowl, which I watched this morning, having avoided all social media. And it took me about half an hour. You fast forward it. The same with NASCAR. I just told you about 5 minutes ago. You wait till 2 hours after the race. 2 hours after the race has started, and then you sit down and go through it.
I'm not sure that's what the series want you to do.
No, sorry, NASCAR.
Certainly not the sponsors.
Sorry, NASCAR.
Jeep had a very good video during Super Bowl. Harrison Ford, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, etc., etc. Looks a bit like you, actually. Similar sort of build, and he was just saying about life. And yes, it happened to be Jeep, but the story for me was life and enjoy life, and it's over very quickly before you know it. So it was quite a nice sort of message. I think Jeep had what I saw the best advert, because it always used to be a massive thing when I was growing up. Who had the best Super Bowl commercial? So I think Jeep nailed that one.
I thought you were going to talk about Harrison Ford and NASCAR or some connection, and then didn't connect at all. Right, that's it.
No.
That was a boring ending. That was.
See you next week.